2020 March 3. Daily Bread Passage. Luke chapter 9 verse 10–17. Keyverse. Verse 13a. Title: Jesus' compassion for the crowds. Bible passage. When the apostles returned, they reported to Jesus what they had done. Then he took them with him and they withdrew by themselves to a town called Bethsaida. But the crowds learned about it and followed him. He welcomed them and spoke to them about the kingdom of God, and healed those who needed healing. Late in the afternoon the 12 came to him and said, "Send the crowd away so they can go to the surrounding villages and countryside and find food and lodging, because we are in a remote place here." He replied, "You give them something to eat." They answered, "We have only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, unless we go and buy food for all this crowd." About 5,000 men were there. But he said to his disciples, "Have them sit down in groups of about 50 each." The disciples did so, and everyone sat down. Taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish and looking up to heaven, he gave thanks and broke them. Then he gave them to the disciples to distribute to the people. They all ate and were satisfied, and the disciples picked up 12 basketfuls of broken pieces that were left over. Daily Bread message. 1. Jesus' care for the large crowd. After the 12 returned from proclaiming the good news and healing the sick, Jesus apparently intended to take them on a retreat. But the crowds learned about it and interrupted the plan. Nevertheless, Jesus welcomed them, he taught them God's kingdom and healed those who needed healing. When late afternoon arrived, the 12 suggested dismissing the crowds. But Jesus cared for them to the end and he taught his disciples to do the same. He told them, "You give them something to eat." 2. The disciples participate in Jesus' work. The disciples only had 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. This did not discourage Jesus, rather Jesus told the disciples to have the people sit down. He took the bread and fish, gave thanks and broke it, then he gave them to the disciples to distribute. Everyone was satisfied and there were even leftovers. When people bring the pressing needs of others to God, he is able to meet those needs. Prayer. Lord, thank you for caring for us. Help me to care for others by allowing you to use whatever I must bless them. One word. He welcomed them, will you?